Welcome to Money Matters. I'm Emily Johnson, Certified Financial Planner and Managing Director at Polaris Capital Advisors. And today we're going to be joined a little later by Pat Cameron, who is a business consultant at the Small Business Development Corporation out at USC in Beaufort. But before Pat comes on, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on economy and market-wise. And one of the reasons that I wanted to have Pat come on and discuss the SBDC is because we've had some positive economic news come out specifically from the small business community in the form of increased confidence levels from the Small Business Confidence Index. And this is actually the fourth month in a row that we've seen a positive move in that confidence index. Why that's important is because obviously small businesses are one of the greatest generators of jobs across the United States, so that's very important. And also it tends to be a leading indicator for the rest of the market. So that's a good positive indicator, and this is the fourth month that we've seen that increase. I do have to say that we're also still at relatively low levels, recession type levels, but it is increasing, so it's nice to see a positive move in that direction. Another positive that we've started seeing is we're getting some more earnings reports coming out. Fourth quarter earnings reports are coming out now, and the leading indicator, which are the leading company, is Alcoa, which is an aluminum company, and they came out with very positive indicators. They're definitely leading in the right direction. Feel that there's an increase in demand in a lot of their markets, specifically in automotive. So they're seeing a lot of increased demand there. Those are obviously large purchases. That tends to be a leading indicator. So hearing good earnings results coming in. And then third, we've also started hearing that well, of course, we've heard this for quite some time, but looking at a potential bottoming, they're starting to notice a bottoming in the price of real estate. So hopefully that remains, and we start to see at least a bottoming, and hopefully a start back up on that trend. But those are three positive indicators that we've seen in the market here recently. And obviously we continue sideways, but we're looking hopefully looking for some positive news going forward. So that's pretty much what we're seeing going on in the market. Obviously, there's still a lot of continuing themes from previous weeks, Europe, et cetera. But those are the things I'd like to focus on this week. We're going to be joined here in just a minute by Pat Cameron of the Small Business Development Corporation. But before we see Pat, we're going to hear from David Kroll with the Mortgage Minute. Please join us. We'll be right back. This is Money Matters, and I'm Emily Johnson.
This is David Kroll from Mortgage Network for the Mortgage Minute. In this political time, and especially in the coming days as the Republican candidates hit South Carolina, it's important to keep our perspective. Times are improving. The economy has registered job growth now for its fifth consecutive month. Overall unemployment is falling. Interest rates are at their lowest in 40 years. House prices are at their lowest in the last decade. So the environment is an outstanding environment for those who have employment and who have the means to be in the market. Obviously, there is plenty of grim financial news for the people who are suffering from lack of employment. But in every other respect, the economy is improving and is strengthening. So keep your smile. Look forward to the next day. Very, very much better times are coming in 2012. Thank you.
Welcome back to Money Matters. I'm joined today by Pat Cameron, a business consultant at the Small Business Development Corporation located at USC at Beaufort. And I thought this was actually a really timely discussion to be having because we've actually been seeing some positive indicators actually from the Small Business Confidence Index and things like that. That seems to be consistently heading in the right direction. So I thought this might be a timely conversation to learn a little bit more about what the SBDC does. So specifically, what is the SBDC, Small Business Development Corporation, and what do they do for small businesses?
Good. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm delighted to be here, and this is a timely topic, because of what's going on in the economy. The Small Business Development Center. First of all, we are an arm of the Small Business Administration. And what we do is we provide one-on-one business consulting services to people who are thinking about starting a business or people who are already in business.
And it's free, correct? It's run through the government?
Yes. Our services are confidential. They're at no cost to the user. We are in all 50 states, and we're associated with universities in all 50 states. So if you get on the SBA website, www.sba.gov, and if you get to the part where the map of the United States pops up, you can click on any state, and it'll list the universities that we're associated with.
Okay.
So here in Beaufort County, my office is located at the university out on Highway 278.
Okay.
At the new campus out there.
Okay.
And Martin Goodman is in Beaufort at the university campus there. And in the USC system, we also have consultants that do this in Columbia and Aiken, Charleston, and Sumter.
Wow. And that's all run through the University of South Carolina system?
That's the whole USC
okay.
system. And then we also have consultants at Clemson University, Winthrop, and State College in Orangeburg. So we're all over the state of South Carolina providing this service to small business owners.
And what are the specific services that the SBA and the SBDC provide?
Okay, the SBA does three things. First of all, they have a loan guarantee. They have a loan guarantee program. And that's administered through banks.
And I think that's probably what people are most familiar with, because I know a lot of times folks will go into the bank, just their local or regional bank, and be looking for a commercial loan and are told, well, can you get an SBA guarantee? So that's what that is. That's one arm of the SBA. Okay.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize it's an SBA guarantee. Some people think that the money comes from the SBA. In fact, some people think I'm the SBA and they're going to walk in my office and I'm going to write them a check.
Right.
But you're right. It's it's a loan guarantee program, and it's administered through banks. And I tell people, you just take your business plan, go to the bank, and just ask for a loan, because it's the bank's decision whether they're going to give you a traditional loan or a loan guaranteed by the Small Business Administration.
Okay.
It's not my decision. It's not their decision.
It's the banks, and then you basically help them. Well, actually, I shouldn't jump too much. So number one is the loan guarantee program. What are the other two rules of the SBA?
The other one is, or the other two. You're correct. There's two more. There's three things the SBA does. They contracting. They help people do business with the government, and there's consultants in the state of South Carolina who are specifically trained on helping people find contracts with the government and get them certified so they can do business with the government. For example, if someone walks in my office and they're interested in doing business with the government, they have a service or a product that will meet that need, I put them in contact with a consultant from either our Charleston office or our Columbia office, because they specialize in doing business with the government.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a great business to be in, actually, especially these days.
Oh, yeah, so. Right now it is. It's huge. It's huge. People can get huge contracts if they qualify to do business with the government. So it's Capital, which is the loan guarantee program, which is administered through banks. It's contracting, which is the doing business with the government. And then the third thing that the SBA provides is what I do. It's consulting. And we do one-on-one business consulting for people who are thinking about starting a business or people who are already in business. And I meet with people in my office, and my typical client is someone who's been in business for a number of years, maybe 15, 20 years, and they're now ready to start their own business. And the emphasis of the consulting...
So somebody who has previous experience but not necessarily with their own company, say if it's a lawyer who wants to establish his own firm, he might come to you and he's been practicing as a lawyer for 15 years, or somebody in the greenhouse business or something along those lines with previous experience.
Right.
Okay.
Right. They usually have 15 or 20 years or more experience in doing something. They're experts in what I call the technical side of the business. I don't teach them how to be a landscaper, how to run a restaurant, how to run a retail store, how to be a lawyer, or anything.
Right.
But I help them with the marketing and the financial part of their business, and that's the emphasis of the consulting I do. Is this a good idea? Should they do this? And how much money can they make at it?
And what is sort of the process that you go through when folks first come in your office? I'm sure you have sort of a standard process that you go through. So
yeah, well, it depends. What I cover during the first meeting depends on where they are in their planning process, and it's different every time. But usually, you're right, it kind of does cover, there's a pattern that kind of, we go through. If they're interested in getting a loan from a bank, usually the first thing I cover is what a bank looks for in a loan applicant. What are the qualifications? Some people walk out of the office right then and there because they know they're not qualified. they have to go work on their credit rating or save some money or get more experience. So what a bank looks for in a loan applicant is the first thing that I cover often. The second thing is marketing. You know, we do a marketing analysis, and this is really important, and we spend a good deal of time on this, because for every idea they have when they come in my office, I tell them they need to find out if it's a good idea or not. So we go through a marketing analysis, and that's things like target market, purchase decision, trends, competitive advantage, positioning, competitive analysis.
It must be tough to talk with entrepreneurs about their passion and try to point them in the right direction, which probably means toning down some of their ideas as well. I know when I started my business, I had all kinds of ideas that I thought were really fantastic, and I had plenty of people point me in the right direction and let me know that perhaps some of them weren't as fantastic. So I'm sure that's a tough job that you have, in trying to point people in the right direction in a variety of industries and, you know, hone their focus. Is that a challenge at all? And
no, you're right. That happens all the time. And I try to focus them on things they've had experience in. Because that's usually where they're going to be the most successful.
And probably smaller is not necessarily bad. Maybe take it from a grandiose idea down to something that is a little bit more manageable from the beginning.
I always suggest start small and build on your success. And you're right, people oftentimes want to start large. They want to open 2 or 3 restaurant locations. They want to start franchising right away. Or they want to rent a huge facility, you know, but one of the keys to success is to limit debt. So they need to start small, have success on a small level, go through the learning curve on a small level, and then expand as the market allows.
So initially, you talked to folks about how to start the business, what the initial requirements are going to be, then about marketing. When do you get into sort of the financials of it and the, you know, the pro formas and projections and that type of thing? Do you assist with that as well?
I start working with them with numbers during the first meeting.
Really?
Because I want them to get comfortable with the numbers, because most of them are afraid of it. 9 out of 10 of the clients that come into my office leave with a spreadsheet. And if we have enough time, we'll do a 12-month projection. It'll go monthly, because I want them to get comfortable with putting numbers on paper and seeing how much money they really can make at this business.
And is that eye-opening for many of them, or do they walk in with expectations that are on target?
Oh, no, it's very eye-opening for them. I've had people walk in my office and say, Pat, I need a loan for $1 million because I want to do ta-da-ta-da. And then once we start putting numbers on the paper, they realize they really can do this for maybe $120,000, $130,000 startup costs.
Right. I'm sure that's
good
to know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get back here in just a second, because I'd like to talk a little bit more about the specific types of businesses that you're seeing people start up here in the Low Country, where they're having successes, and also sort of the process in applying for a loan, and, you know, what you're seeing the market look like for that right now.
Good.
So awesome. Well, we'll be back in just a moment. This is Money Matters. I'm joined by Pat Cameron, and we'll be right back. Thanks very much. So my hair's a mess again today. Joanne's not going to be pleased with me, but all right. Welcome back to Money Matters, joined again by Pat Cameron of the Small Business Development Corporation, and we are talking about small businesses and what types of businesses people are starting. So specifically, here in the Low Country, what kinds of businesses are you seeing people start in this economy over the last couple of years?
Well, because of the tourist industry that we have here, there's always opportunities for people to open up different types of businesses that target the tourists. And so there's restaurants and retail. I mean, that's just always going on. You know, some are going out of business, and there's new opportunities for new people. So those sort of businesses are just ongoing all the time. But I have noticed some new trends in recent years. I've been doing this part-time for about 15 years, so I've seen a lot of changes during that 15-year period. So recently, I've had a lot of people in my office targeting the medical field.
Interesting. Like pharmaceuticals or hardware, or what are they? Well, or service businesses?
Service, yeah. Okay. Service business, helping people stay in their homes longer, helping seniors stay in their homes longer.
That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe renovating their homes so that people can stay in their homes longer. and nursing, helping them.
In-home nursing care.
In-home nursing care, things like that. And online. I mean, online is huge, and it's very inexpensive to start the online businesses. And people start a lot of these online businesses while they have another job.
Right.
And they do the online business at night or on weekends, and they can do two things at one time. In fact, one of the loans that this past year, the loans that I help people get, they range from $5,000 up to over $1 million. And the $5,000 loan was for a young man who had an online business, and he had already put close to $10,000 of his own money into the business, and he had a unique target market. So we were successful in getting him a $5,000 called a microloan. That was through the Small Business Assistance Corporation out of Savannah, and we did a small business plan because he wasn't asking for so much money. He needed only like an 8 or a 10-page business plan, and his loan was approved, very quickly, very quickly. So
now that's a good example, because that's an example of an existing business. I know, we've sort of been talking about new businesses and from the get-go, but you also do a lot of things with existing businesses, helping them grow and provide consulting for existing businesses. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, I see existing businesses all the time. They get referred to me by bankers, CPAs. If someone's looking to refinance a loan, the bank may send an existing business to me to help them do some projections. If someone's thinking about selling their business, I help them look at their past financial statements or tax returns to figure out where the value is in the business and what kind of a price they might be able to sell their business for.
Now, are you seeing in that field? Are you seeing a lot of professional corporations like physicians, dentists, veterinarians, that type of thing? Or are you seeing more, stores, retail stores, that type of thing, or across the
It's
gamut?
across the board. I work with all sophistication levels, all ages. It just varies. I work with professionals, bankers, lawyers, dentists, doctors that are sent to me when they're starting their business, and I help them with projections. And lots of retail stores, especially since the financial crisis. I've had a lot of past clients come into my office because they're trying to figure out what they can do to get more customers and to reduce expenses. Prior to the financial crisis, when we all felt rich and the consumer was spending lots of money, the person who reaped the benefits of that were the restaurants and the retail owners, because there was lots of cash flow coming in. There was lots of consumption. Yeah. And they didn't have to pay a lot of attention to management during that time because the cash flow was so great. They just didn't have to pay attention to a lot of the management issues. But since the financial crisis, when the consumer spending was started to go downhill, I started getting a lot of existing businesses in my office saying, "Pat, what do I do now?" So with those businesses, one of the first things we focused on was cost of goods. What can we do to reduce cost of goods? And lots of them had never looked at cost of goods before.
So you should definitely come back sometime with some businesses in that vein, so that we can actually talk specifically about that, because I think that would be really interesting and probably helpful for a lot of our viewers. But in the short time that we have left, though, I'd like to talk a little bit about sort of your take on commercial loans right now. I think there's a broad consensus that people feel that the banks aren't lending, and that's not necessarily true. The banks are lending. So I guess first question is, what's your overall opinion on the commercial loan market at the moment? And two, how can somebody best position themselves to get a loan in this market?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, banks are loaning money. I had one of my best years this past 12 months as far as...
That's amazing.
As
I don't
far
think
as
people would
closing
assume
loans.
that.
No. The key is to be qualified. And what banks are looking for when they're looking for a loan applicant is, a good credit rating, collateral, and an equity investment by the client.
Now, collateral must be the toughie these days, because I'm sure that a lot of the collateral, so to speak, were homes.
Right.
First home, second home, investment property, whatever, but probably primary residence, and there's not as much equity there anymore. So how are people getting around that? Is there any get around on that?
Well, that's a good question, and you hit it on the net. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Right now, what banks are doing is they're putting less emphasis on collateral these days and more emphasis on cash flow. And in order to to do the cash flow, they need a projection. It's a income and expense projection, a pro forma, along with solid financials, and that's one of the things that I help people with. All of the loans that I closed this past year, which range from $5,000 to over $1 million, they all had solid income and expense projections with realistic assumptions.
So best case scenario, I guess the best process that somebody should go through is, should they go to their bank first or should they come to you first? If they haven't already gone to their bank and right now they're sitting there saying, I've got this idea, I've put together sort of a broad consensus of what I want to do, who should they go to first, you or the bank?
Well, I would suggest they come to me first because I'm going to help them get the documents together so when they do go to the bank, they're going to be putting their best foot forward.
Okay. Do you go to the bank with individuals or do you just, do you basically put them together and assist them?
I have gone to the bank, with individuals before, but it's not necessarily. Usually what I do is I send them out of my office with a very professional looking package and say, go to the bank and ask for a loan.
So what's the best advice that you would give right now, somebody who is looking at starting a business or even somebody who has an existing business that feels like they're running into some tough times?
Yeah, well the first thing they need to do is to do a marketing analysis.
Just a broad SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats type analysis?
That's a SWOT analysis. That's not a marketing analysis.
Okay.
A marketing analysis that's where you examine target market, purchase decision, trends, competitive advantage. That's where you look at your competitors, their advantages and disadvantages of each one, and you come up with a competitive advantage.
Okay.
You must have a competitive advantage.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the same in any market, I guess, or any economy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I never try to talk somebody out of their dream. If they have something that they want to do and they don't have experience in it, I always suggest go and get experience before you start it. And the people who have done that have come back to me and thanked me for it. That's the best thing they can do is to get experience in the line of business that they want to do.
Well, that is absolutely, this is fantastic. It's amazing to think that all of these services are available for free, basically. Just, pick up a phone and come and see you. It's a wonderful service. So if anybody is out there is interested in starting a business or knows somebody that is or is looking for some consulting, please give Pat a call at the SBDC. It's a wonderful service, and we're really grateful that you're here to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we will be back in just a few seconds with parting shots. This is Money Matters. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to Money Matters. I have two quick parting shots for you. The first one is pretty standard. This is a great time of year to, of course, review your financial plan, or if you don't already have a financial plan, then to put one in place. This is the time of year that you're gathering everything for your taxes. Take it that one extra step from gathering it just to give to your accountant. Take it that one extra step and look at your financial plan. Put together your financial plan, see how you did last year, compare it to what you want to do this year. This is a great time of year to do that. You already have the information at your fingertips. Go that one extra step. So that's number one. Number two, this is also a great time of year to take a look at your 401k. Lots of times with a 401k, you set it and forget it. You forget which funds you're invested in. You forget what your allocation is. Funds change all the time. Plans change all the time. So take this opportunity at the beginning of the year to take a look at your 401k, see if the investment options have changed, see if they've added a Roth component to it, look at your contribution amount. Are you actually getting the full match that your employer provides? Have they changed that match from previous years? Take a look at that. This is a great time of year to start doing that as well, or if you haven't done it already, to do it again. So thank you very much. Again, I'm Emily Johnson. This is Money Matters. Please check us out on Facebook. Send us your ideas for future shows. We really welcome all your feedback, and I look forward to seeing you next week.